guys, it is Sugar for House of Cyanide, and I decided to film outside today because it is such a beautiful day. One of the things I wanted to film today is the paranormal tag from Graveyard Girl. Now this actually went around about 2 years ago, and I discovered it about a year ago. Didn't really have much to say, so I figured I would do this tag today. So the first question on the tag is, how old were you for your first paranormal experience? I do have an early memory of going to the Limp Mansion when I was fairly young. I want to say 5 or 6, and that was the first time I put knowledge or words or put the term ghost to some of the things that I saw. The Limp Mansion is a very famous haunted house here in St. Louis, and it is a restaurant and bed and breakfast. The second question in the paranormal tag is, have you always believed? So I kind of answer that in the first question. I have always believed because I've kind of always seen things, I've always dealt with things. Even though I was raised to not believe in those things, I always believed in them anyways. The third question is, what is your favorite place to search for paranormal activity? And I guess this is where I differ from a lot of people who consider themselves paranormal investigators. I do not search out the paranormal. For me, it's kind of an everyday experience. And so I don't really go looking for it. It just kind of finds me. You don't have to go to a specific place to find it. Now, sure, certainly, some places have more activity, or it's more noticeable, or things of that nature. However, if you just open your eyes in your everyday life, you will see it. It's everywhere. It's in everything. And I think that's one thing that I differ on opinion-wise than the paranormal community, is that you don't have to go look for it. It's everywhere. You just have to open your eyes. What is your favorite tool to use? Again, I don't go search or investigate paranormal activity, so I guess this kind of makes me lame for this tag. However, if I specifically had to answer this question as true as possible, I would say my favorite tool to use is myself. And what I mean by that is you have to put away your social conditioning. You have to put away your doubts and trust your instincts. What is your scariest experience? My scariest experience would have to be the house that I bought when I was 18 years old. I bought a house with my husband at the time, and in the basement of the house there was a lot of negative energy. The majority of the time that I lived there for several years, and for the 75% of the time that I lived there, I never went into that cold room. The door always stayed shut. I didn't go down to the basement at night. I just avoided it completely and stayed in the rest of the house. And then the last year that I lived there, I decided to poke the hornet's nest, if you will. I thought I was going to be big and bad and clean out the negative energy that was in this cold room. And I was unprepared for what I was dealing with. What is your favorite experience? The first thing that comes to mind for my favorite experience was again at the Limp Mansion. The Limp Mansion is, like I said, a bed and breakfast and a restaurant. And for a number of years, it was the restaurant that my family went to for birthdays and celebrations. My favorite experience happened in the Limp Mansion. I got to see, I believe it's the Pink Lady, but the Pink Lady was the wife of one of the Limps, and she was also from a brewer family, I want to say from Wisconsin, and their marriage was an arranged marriage to combine the family fortunes and corner the market in the brewing industry. The Limp family is really, really interesting, and there's actually such a great paranormal history here in St. Louis, from the Limp family to Alton, Illinois, which is like just north of here, about 45 minutes. The whole district is basically haunted down there, or up there. And then, of course, The Exorcist, the family that inspired the movie, also took place here in St. Louis. So there's such a rich history of paranormal activity in this region that it's really fun to learn about it and research it and things of that nature. Do you know anyone else who's interested in paranormal activity? Actually, most of my friends are. I do have some friends that are actually investigators, and they do go out and just on the TV shows, like the paranormal investigator TV shows, they do go out at night with the infrared cameras and the sound equipment and all of that, and they do those things. I have not gone with them. It's just not my cup of tea, I guess. It would be fun to do it once or twice, but it's not something that I would probably do on a regular basis. And I think that there are risks involved in that, the possibility of bringing something home with you that most people don't realize. Okay, question number 8 is, do you have trouble convincing your friends and family? Again, most of my friends either believe in paranormal of some sort, are investigators, pagan, whatever, etc., etc., etc. So I don't have to worry about trying to convince them because they already have all of their own experiences or things of that nature. My family is another story. I do not discuss it with my family. My family is very traditional and very kind of square. And that's just kind of one of those things that just isn't talked about or discussed in my family. What would be your dream place to investigate? Number 10. I almost want to say, the first thing that comes to my mind is Chesterfield Manor. And that is simply because an associate of mine, she's a friend of mine, but we're not best friends in the whole world or anything. I just know her casually. Has done several investigations on Chesterfield Manor. She documented the decay and the goings-ons in Chesterfield Manor for about 6 years, I want to say, maybe even 10, from the mid to late 90s all the way up until about a year or two ago, before it finally actually burned to the ground. For those of you that are not familiar, Chesterfield Manor was a nursing home that was found by the government to be neglectful and abusive to its residents, and it was shut down, and it was kind of operating on one day and then the next completely just abandoned. It would be really cool to have done an actual investigation there. Unfortunately, now I do not believe it's possible because it burned to the ground, so I don't even think it physically exists anymore. It's one of the few places in St. Louis that, although it's been well documented, is not a cliche, well-known paranormal activity place. 9, what is your favorite paranormal TV show? I want to say Paranormal Witness. I like that one. That one is actually less of an investigator show and more of a telling of things that have happened, kind of like a sharing of stories and things of that nature. with some minor investigation involved. I have a hard time with paranormal investigation shows. I have a couple of issues with them. One is that they seem to always focus on the negative. They always go to places like Alcatraz, or, you know, places where a lot of horrible things have happened, and that's kind of, they always seem to focus on the bad aspects of paranormal activity. And the thing is that there are happy ghosts, and there are helping ghosts, and there are pleasant ghosts, and they never seem to discuss that, and so that kind of gets on my nerves after a while. Do you investigate in alone or a group is question number 11. I've discussed that as well, where I do not investigate. I do house cleansings, so in a sense that's kind of like investigating, except for that what I do is I go in and I will bless a house, and I will go in and clean out the negative energy. Is your home haunted? Where I'm currently living at now, no. I've lived previously, as I've discussed, in several places that have been haunted. I've also had personal hauntings. I hate that word. More like people that have passed on that have become spirit guides. And these are ghosts that have come to me to help me in times of my personal need. Experiences with animals. Tons of experiences with animals. I think it was my affinity to animals that first keyed me into that there's more in this world than we typically see. Because they're not taught not to see it. They're not taught to have a blind eye. They notice things that we don't notice because they have not been trained not to. And when you start realizing and start accepting that, they will key you in on a lot of stuff. So this is my paranormal tag. I hope you enjoyed it, and please comment down below if you have any questions, or hit the like button, or subscribe. I'm going to not promise to do more videos because I don't know what the future holds at the moment, because my life is a bit crazy. So I'm not going to make that promise, because every time I make that promise I never can keep it. So ta-da-da. Alrighty, thank you. Bye-bye.